sustainable nutrition strategies our clients and myself have used. And at the end, I promise I won't just throw all this information at you and leave you to do it on your own. And for those of you that have questions or who maybe want some additional support, I'll share with you how we at Hansen Health can help you execute in creating a permanent lifestyle change, an identity shift, and making this a part of who you are forever around your weight loss, health, and fitness, getting that hourglass figure, and getting jacked. So let's get into it. I want to show you guys the Hansen Health Sustainable Nutrition Strategies. This methodology is designed specifically to show you how to create sustainability with your nutrition, be able to enjoy yourself while you're doing it, and create a lifestyle so you can stay fit for life. So first off, like I know that this was in one of our lose weight and keep it off trainings, where what's required for weight loss? You only need to be in a calorie deficit. The trick is making it sustainable, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So firstly, again, you want to make sure you're drinking water and sleeping. I'm going to be talking about this in every training as much as I possibly can. Because if you're not drinking enough water, a lot of people think that they're hungry when they're just thirsty. And like that's going to make you more ravenous. And like, especially if you're on a healthy calorie deficit, like if you're in a healthy calorie deficit, you shouldn't be super ravenous and want to eat everything. But if you're not drinking enough water, you're definitely going to run into that and not sleeping enough. Your ghrelin and your leptin, which are the two hormones that get thrown out of whack when you don't get enough sleep, your leptin is the hormone that tells you that you're satisfied. Ghrelin is the hormone that tells you that you're hungry. So your ghrelin, it goes through the freaking roof where you get more hungry, you're more ravenous, and then your leptin will actually decrease, which will make it so you don't feel satisfied as easily. So not only you're going to be more ravenous and hungrier, but you're also not going to feel as satisfied. It's just going to feel like this empty pit inside that just never gets filled. So that's definitely not going to help create sustainability with your health and fitness. So like getting those areas down of having like 90 ounces to about 120 ounces of water, which is about 3 to 4 liters, and then sleeping at least a minimum of 6.5 hours, striving for closer to 8 hours. And you want to make sure you're setting a realistic calorie deficit. Drastic cuts in calories often lead to burnout and muscle loss. A moderate calorie deficit leads to slow, steady weight loss that's easier to maintain, and you don't want to just eat everything. Like you're not going to get ravenous and just like feel like you just want to eat everything on the weekend or like have everything in the evening after you have a really long, stressful day. You want to aim for about 3 to 500 calories below maintenance to put you into about 1 to 2 pounds per week, which is going to be a sustainable calorie deficit. And this is going to allow you to preserve muscle mass, which is the toning and the changing of body composition. Because if you actually lose muscle, your body will burn less calories, which then means you need to eat less calories, which is not going to be super sustainable. The more muscle mass that you have, the better your metabolism works, the more calories that you're going to burn, the better you're going to look. Like, especially if you have a significant amount of weight loss to lose, then you're going to be tighter. You're going to see more definition. You're not going to have like, it's not going to look all flat and have that loose skin as much. Like, definitely not telling anybody that you're not going to have loose skin. Like, that's going to happen to some people, especially if there's a significant amount of fat loss that needs to happen. But if you're doing resistance training and you're doing strength training and you're building muscle and you're having protein and you're not eating too little of calories, then that's going to help with you speeding up the fat loss process and allowing you to see the toning, the definition, still have energy, get more energy, and get that more of that hourglass figure. And creating a flexible eating schedule, whether it's like 3 meals a day or intermittent fasting, sticking to an eating pattern that suits your lifestyle makes it easier to stay on track. And you don't want to be varying and like being all over the place where you're intermittent fasting and then you're having consistent meals throughout the day and then like you're just all over the place. Like commit to it, test it out, see what's going to work the best for you because everybody's going to be completely different on how they approach this. Like choose a structure that fits your routine. Some people thrive on intermittent fasting, like the 16 hours and then 8 hours of eating. Like that, while others prefer smaller, more frequent meals or eating every like 3 hours with like 25 to 30 grams of protein. Like making sure you're having protein and like fiber with each of those meals is definitely going to help with creating higher satiety, which is being more satisfied, but with less calories. And personally, for me, like I'll have a ton of egg whites in the morning, which is, by the way, one of the only foods that has no carbs or fats, where it's just protein and it's going to fill you up a ton, have less calories. But basically, I just crush 500 grams of that in the morning. Then I just have like black coffee with diet soda and drink water and have like gum and stuff like that. And basically just eat nothing for I would say about 8 or 9 hours sometimes. Like I would say I would go from about like 11 a.m. all the way until like 7:30, 8 p.m. where I just eat nothing. And then I have more calories allocated to later in the evening when I know I'm not busy at work and I'm able to just sit down and relax. Then I have more calories that are dedicated to that. So like when I'm sitting down and I want to relax and I want to keep my hands busy, then I'm able to have more flexibility with my nutrition. I feel more satisfied. I love that full feeling like you get after Thanksgiving where you're just like comatose on the couch and you just like pass out super easily. Some people hate that. Like there's people in my program, they're like, I can't do that. That's not for me. Because everybody has a different strategy and a different way that they're going to approach it. Which is like with our program, we make sure it's fully customized on each person and we approach it the right way and we test these different strategies to see what's going to work the best for you and allowing flexibility for special occasions. Building flexibility into your plan for holidays, celebrations, social events helps avoid that all or nothing mentality and mindset and reduces guilt. Like I know that I personally like when I went to Turks and Caicos last week, like I don't drink. Like I just don't drink. I hadn't had a drink for like 2 years, but I had a drink with my friends. And like that was something that I just indulged a little bit more in. I went and like crushed a full large thing of like froyo, frozen yogurt a couple of nights as well. Like throughout the day, for the most part, I was hitting like 80%. But I still had that flexibility to be able to enjoy myself at the same time and plan ahead for these events by allowing yourself a small indulgence without going overboard and get back to your routine right on the next day. Because what a lot of people realize is like when you actually have more calories, more carbs, and like more fuel in the tank, you're gonna be able to have more fuel for your workout the next day as well. So like if you go and crush a workout, you're gonna probably feel stronger. You're probably gonna burn more calories, and it's actually probably the best time for you to go and work out afterwards. Like I would even try and like have carbs like closer to when you work out as well, because like your body will actually metabolize it better, which will make it so it's not going to go to fat stores as well. So like that's more of like a side topic that's like a little bit more strategic. That might be a bit more on a more advanced level, but that's something that you can definitely can do. But I would say just having like allowing yourself a small indulgence, don't go overboard, like fit it into your calories. If you're tracking your food on MyFitnessPal or like some kind of food tracking app, you can fit a lot of these things in. Like when I actually save a lot of my calories to later in the evening, like I'm gonna go crush protein lava cake and some protein ice cream later tonight. And I have it basically every single night, and I'm still losing about 1 to 2 pounds per week. So there's still a way to like definitely enjoy yourself, but track your food. If you are not tracking your food, there's such a small percentage of people that can lose weight or like gain muscle or see progress and change up body composition while intuitively eating. Like you're likely going to just maintain, or you might even be putting on weight or under eating, which is not going to be beneficial when you track your food, especially like if you don't really have a whole lot of awareness on your dietary patterns and what you're putting into your body, tracking your food alone, even if you're not hitting your targets, even if you don't meal prep, even if you're just brand new to this and you're just like, I don't even know what to do. Start with this. Start with tracking your food. Because like you're like again, it's very difficult to get like lose weight. There's a lot of hidden calories and do you know how many calories are like in nuts or like in peanut butter or in like garlic bread? Like I've had clients where they are plateaued for years. They're trying weight loss or like a bunch of different fad diets like keto, Arbonne, Shakeology from Beachbody, Weight Watchers, like you name it. They try some restrictive kind of diet, but they're not losing weight because they're not tracking their food. But as soon as they start to track their food, they weigh their food, they see what portions that they're bringing in, they realize how many calories are in their creamer and their coffee, and they've been drinking like 300 calories or 400 calories every single day. And noting back, to be on a realistic calorie deficit. You're eating 300 to 500 calories of a deficit below maintenance, where you're not gaining weight, you're not losing weight, and you have 300 calories of creamer, you're just going to plateau. You're not going to see any results. Like, this is why it's super important to track those things, because if you just weigh your food, or like you have the wrong portion of food, you have like a little bit of extra almonds, or your avocado's a little bit juicier and you have a bit more avocado with a bit more fats, like it's so easy to overeat your calories. Like this is why it's very, very important to track your food and utilize it as a very useful tool. Just don't get obsessive about it. Like just tracking what you're eating and don't try to have a specific target that you want to hit right off the bat. Get a bit more confident with it, do it a bit more consistently, focus on just building the habit of tracking your food with even just bad data is just as important as good data. If you crush a whole 2 liter of vodka and have like a whole large pizza to yourself, track it. Like it's gonna make a big difference, and you're going to make better, more educated decisions to move in the right direction. And if you don't want to track, follow these steps, which like again, you should probably be tracking your food. Like if you want to lose weight and you want to lose a significant amount of weight, you don't want to get discouraged and feel like nothing's moving. Tracking your food is going to exponentially increase the overall awareness and just speed up the process. But if you really, really don't want to track your food, stop when you're satisfied. Don't eat past that. Like wait until you're satisfied. I would start by just having like 25 to 30 grams of protein, having some fiber, have a glass of water, then wait 15 minutes to allow your body to process it, then still see if you want some food. And remember, a sprinkle of hunger is a good thing. You actually want to have a little bit of hunger. Like that's an indication that your body is on a calorie deficit. That's why your body's hungry, because your body will get used to having a surplus or a maintenance amount of calories. But when you dip below there and you're having like a healthy, moderate deficit from 300 to 500 calories below that, you should have a sprinkle of hunger. And you're probably going to be ravenous if you're having a bunch of processed foods, like regardless of like what deficit that you're on, even if you're at maintenance and you're eating a bunch of processed high calorie foods that don't fill you up a lot, like you're probably still going to be hungry, which we're going to be diving into the next ones. So right here, focus on high satiety foods, so proteins, lean meats, fruits and veggies, oatmeal, potatoes, most complex carbs, and like fiber. And then focus on whole, minimally processed foods. There was actually a study done once where there was this guy that just wanted to like show people that processed foods are basically like a drug, where he just had processed foods and only ultra processed foods for 30 days. They did a neural test on his brain, and all the areas of his brain that were firing off were the same of a drug addict. And like he actually was craving more. He had more basically drug user tendencies, and he like looked like he was craving it so much more, and he again was like addicted to it at this point and put on more body fat because of it. Like I think he put on an additional like 10 pounds. But like whole foods will automatically allow you to stay in more of a calorie deficit for a longer period of time. So like veggies, fruits, lean proteins, whole grains, healthy fats are nutrient dense, keeping you fuller for longer while reducing empty calories. Base most of these meals around whole foods, like things like simple meals like grilled chicken, oatmeal. I definitely spelled oatmeal wrong there. Roasted veggies instead of like highly processed options. Having a bunch of like low fat or no fat, high protein Greek yogurt, having like egg whites and like mixing it with like one egg because the eggs have like a bunch of fats added to it as well. But just finding ways that you can find lower calorie that are going to have higher volume. And protein, and more protein. Like if you can just load up on protein and you just stick to like meat and veggies and fruit, like you're gonna lose weight. Like 100%. I would also cut out cheese. For all the moms that are saying like that are listening to this, cheese is not macro friendly. It's definitely not going to help with you losing weight. I go to any restaurant or anything that has cheese on it, I always take it off because it's just calorically dense. It doesn't fill me up a whole lot and it's not worth it to me, to be totally honest. But yeah, protein, and more protein. So, fun fact about protein is wow, I am so blue. So, protein is the highest thermic effect of each of the macronutrients. So, when it comes to fats, carbs, protein, when your body's digesting each of these macronutrients, you burn a set amount of calories. Your body burns little to no calories when you're eating carbs and fats, but you're burning 20 to 30% of the calories that you eat when you have protein. So if you have like 2,400 calories of like protein versus 2,400 calories of like carbs and fats, you're going to be having way less calories. You're going to be having like 20 to 30% less calories from eating protein. Like if you have 100 calories of just pure protein, you're burning 20 to 30 calories of that. So it's going to be higher satiety. It's going to fill you up more. It's going to help with you maintaining and building muscle mass, which is toning and like changing a body composition so your body can actually have a more efficient metabolism and burn more calories. But like you actually burn calories just by eating protein. So just if you load up on protein and have like at least 100 grams of protein, like I would aim and strive for about 1 gram of protein per pound of lean muscle mass. So like whatever your goal weight is that you want to get down to, having like and make sure it's the end goal, not just like the first milestone that you want to get to. So if you want to get down to like 150 pounds, and like that's the end goal where like you can see your muscle definition, you're fairly lean. Like that's how much protein you should be having every single day. I personally have about 240 grams of protein every single day. Not telling you to do that whatsoever, but like it will make a huge difference. You're going to stay satisfied, and the likelihood of you wanting to overeat or to go have snacks is going to be decreased significantly. But let's get back on it. All right. So incorporate at least 25 grams of fiber every single day. So this is going to help with your gut health. This is going to help with your energy levels. It's also very high satiety, so it's going to fill you up a lot. It's going to be higher, one of those higher volume foods. That's why a lot of people recommend like oatmeal as well, because like that's going to fill you up a lot, having like rolled oats. And having like protein rich snacks on hand at your convenience. So like remember, like we turn to convenient foods when we're busy. So like if you have like beef jerky, you have protein bars, you have like cans of tuna, you have like maybe like a cooler with like some already like cooked up meats and stuff like that. Like that's going to, or like if you meal prep your proteins and have them readily available and you're crunched for time, you're super busy. If you don't have anything prepped, you typically turn to more processed, more convenient options that are going to be much more calorically dense. They're not going to fill up your stomach a whole lot, and you're going to want to probably eat more food afterwards. Whereas when you prep and you have these protein snacks readily available, or have things that have high fiber as well, you're going to be filled up a lot more consistently, which is going to help keep you in a calorie deficit to lose weight. Because again, it's science. If you're not burning more than you're consuming, you're not going to lose weight. And it's not your stress, it's not your hormones, it's you're not in a calorie deficit. Cook more at home, avoid going out for food. So like going out for food again, that's gonna be like processed foods, it's gonna be hidden calories. Like if you go out to restaurants and stuff like that, like I would say add 20 to 30% more calories because they're cooking it with butter, oils. The portions aren't correct most of the time. Like they don't weigh out the food. Like there's so many reasons why the portion is gonna be higher. They want it to taste good. They don't really care if you lose weight. So like making sure that you're cooking at home more often. And if you do go out, I got a couple of tips here as well, but we'll dive into that afterwards. So yeah, coming to high satiety foods, like if you actually want like a little list that you can go through, you can also comment grocery on this video, and I can actually send you over our weight loss, high protein, like just weight loss friendly grocery list as well. But no foods will make you lose fat, but some packing high satiety per calorie, which will keep you feeling full while sticking to a calorie deficit. Adding more of these foods help me stay on track when trying to lose fat. So lean protein. So protein is definitely high satiety, like I mentioned. So Greek yogurt, chicken breast, chicken thighs, 96.4 ground beef, like lean ground beef, shrimp, egg whites, tuna, sirloin, pork tenderloin, all that stuff. Melons often have a high volume per calorie. So like watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew, like watermelon is like 150 calories for a whole pound of watermelon. Also helps to get your water in at the same time. And vegetables, often high in fiber and volume: lettuce, cucumber, celery, carrots, pepper, squash, zucchini, broccoli, cauliflower. Berries are high in fiber and volume. So strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, blackberries. Like if you add a ton of these, like even just adding like a bunch of leafy greens, like if you just have like, for example, ground beef and some rice and you just add a bunch of spinach and a bunch of lettuce to it, you get more bites out of it. It's going to feel like it's actually going to help with satiety and keeping you more full, but getting way more bites. Like 3 cups of spinach, I think is like 50 or 60 calories. Like it's crazy how many things of spinach you can have with it being very, very, very low calories. Same with lettuce. And looking for alternatives. So looking for things that you already like to have, but finding things that are lower calorie options that are similar and taste 90% as good. Like find whatever it is that you want to buy, but with higher protein content, like protein ice cream, for example, Halo Top ice cream. I personally I have a Ninja Creamy at home, which is definitely a great investment. It's $200. I've probably had upwards of like 500 pints of ice cream. So it's been paid off for me. And you can make your own at-home sorbet and like make it like your own at-home protein milkshakes and stuff like that. So like that's why I invested into that. And also get things like Smart Sweets, which are basically just Maynard's gummies, but they're high in fiber and they have way less calories. Like I also make like a protein lava cake. If you go to my personal page and follow me, I actually have a page where I made my protein lava cake that I make, where it's the same amount of calories as a Domino's lava cake, but it's a significantly more and has way more protein. And I'll mix that with my protein ice cream. It's delicious. It's great. And like I feel like I'm eating like a king and I'm able to stick to my calorie deficit sustainably. I hate cooking. I love sweets. I love good food. I want a sustainable, healthy calorie deficit for myself too. And the flexible dieting lifestyle on Instagram on the bottom right here, definitely follow him, 100%. And include treats in moderation. So, like, why this works. Allowing occasional indulgences reduces the likelihood of feeling deprived and binging. Like, if you tell yourself that you can't have things, that is the definition of a bad system. Like, we are like rebellious teenagers. You can't tell yourself you can't have something. That's why finding alternatives, still having it a little bit here and there is going to make a big difference. Having higher satiety food that's going to fill you up more, but with less calories, you're going to be less likely to indulge in having extra treats or snacks, but like you definitely should still have them 100%. But finding alternatives is the hack for me personally. So planning for like small, enjoyable treats a few times a week, practicing portion control to keep the calories in check without guilt, weighing it out, tracking the food that you're having. There was a study done where a guy lost 21 pounds in 21 days eating only McDonald's. If you track your food and like you have good discipline and you can control the food that you put into your mouth, you can technically eat anything. There was a guy that ate Doritos and Oreos and lost weight. Don't ever do that though. That's not going to be good. You're going to get a bunch of deficiencies. You're not going to get any micronutrients and it's going to suck. And you're going to probably feel like shit. You don't want that. And you need consistent systems. So meal prepping ahead of time and planning ahead of time with your nutrition within a food tracking app. So actually plugging the food in before you eat it and before you go to the grocery store. Because if you just go and like track your food afterwards, you don't really have a plan going to the grocery store. You might have to go back to the grocery store, or you might have to like realize that you already had the food and you ate the food, then you go track it afterwards and you're like, man, I shouldn't have had that. Whereas if you tracked it before you ate it, it's actually going to allow you to make more educated, better decisions because you'll be like, oh, I didn't realize how many freaking calories that had. I'm going to cut that in half. Or I'm actually going to choose this instead because that is way too many calories. I've done that so many times where I go to a restaurant and I look at something on the menu and I track it. I'm like, holy shit, that is so many calories. We're gonna find something better that's gonna serve my goals a bit more. And sneak in like again a tiny treat within like 100 to 200 calories like a few days a week if you want, and like don't tell yourself you can't have anything. And keep like I would say when you track or when you meal prep and you go to the grocery store, keep it to 1 to 2 proteins and minimalistic recipes to keep it simple and actionable. Boring builds bodies. When you have the same boring, simple, repetitive stuff, the more likelihood you're going to stick to it. I personally stick to like spaghetti and tacos. Like that's my go-to because it's ground beef. I love ground beef and I can make those recipes with it. I also do like now personally I'm on like a ground beef like rice kick right now, and then I can also add a bunch of leafy greens to it to just increase the overall volume with the food that I'm having. And again, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you like I cannot stress this enough. If you just go into it winging it, like hoping things are going to work out, it's the definition of throwing spaghetti at a wall, hoping it's going to stick. Like the likelihood of that happening is very, very minimal. And if you get to the end of the day after a really like stressful, emotionally like escalated day, and you have nothing prepped, you have nothing planned, the likelihood of you just ordering DoorDash or like having convenient food or just not eating, which is going to set you up for being ravenous in the future and eating a bunch of stuff you probably shouldn't be having. Like meal prepping and planning, you're going to have the healthy food become the more convenient option. And like it's human nature. You're going to want to go with whatever is easier. And if you already put the time, the energy, and the focus into it, and you already prepped it, like the likelihood of you following that goes up. Like last night, I was like contemplating ordering this viral Domino pizza that I saw online with my girlfriend, and I already all of my meals were prepped. Everything was good to go, and it prevented me from ordering out because I just sat there for 10 minutes. I'm like, man, I trying to justify it to myself, but I was like, I already have the food ready. It's already ready to go. It's easier for me to do this. So I stayed on track with my nutrition because of that. And like I've been in this like 7.5, 8 years, and that still happens to me. Hidden calories. All right, I think my screen is sharing. Hello? There we go. Okay, awesome. Hidden calories. So why do we weigh our food? Because 1 tablespoon of peanut butter could be 150 calories of difference. And like I said, 300 to 500 calories below maintenance. If you're having like a few of those discrepancies throughout the day, that's going to add up. Or just like just a dash of oil could be 100 calories more. A handful of almonds could be almost 100 calories more. So the importance of tracking calories, so the highs and the lows, so it can promote awareness of food intake, or it will if you do it consistently, allows you to control your eating habits, gives you a good idea of like calories in versus calories out, creates certainty, which then creates accuracy and confidence. Might take a while to recognize those habits and those dietary patterns, but like it's gonna happen. It can become obsessive, but make sure you're promoting balance, like I was mentioning. And it's only a general guideline, like room for error, flexibility, super important, and it requires you to make an effort, not a bad thing. Like make sure you're doing that. And why eyeballing calories is difficult, and like it's probably not going to work. Like looking at like looks the same, but like what you probably measured versus unmeasured. So like that's hundreds of calories of difference, and that's going to throw you off. And like then there's drinks here. That's this blurry picture here. But like just having liquid calories of like having orange juice, a mocha, having a regular like Coca-Cola, a fruit drink, sweet tea, having a beer after work. That's 1,400 calories. That's easily gonna put you into a calorie surplus where you're just gonna gain weight. And you're in a calorie deficit, but you're not losing weight. So what you tracked versus what you actually ate. So like instead of 28 grams of almonds, you had like 42 grams of almonds, which was another like almost 100 calories. And like there was a bunch of incremental things that happened throughout the day that made this person have almost 500 calories more, which brings them off of a deficit and prevents them to lose weight. Then you also have like stuff like this, which is like ketchup and mayonnaise. Like I would definitely go for hot sauce. Hot sauce is always like a really good one to go with. It's normally really low calories. Like olive oil, try and stay away from it. Try to go for more sprays and stuff like that. HP sauce like is all right as well. You can also go for G Hughes sugar-free sauce. You can have like 3 tablespoons for 10 calories for like this sweet chili sauce, and they have a bunch of other sauces that you can get, and he makes it so it's sugar free. Like you can find alternatives for these condiments. So like salad dressings, even a small amount can be calorically dense, like especially creamy dressings and ketchup and mayonnaise, significant amount of calories, barbecue sauce and marinades, often loaded with sugars and fats. Alcohol, drinks like beer, wine, and cocktails can be surprisingly high in calories. Even just a shot of like tequila or vodka is like 110 calories. So like having like getting a double instead of like a single, like that's gonna make a big difference. Or if you have like Coca-Cola with your vodka instead of diet soda with vodka, like you'd have way less calories that way by choosing that alternative. Creamers, flavored syrups, sugar in your coffee, that can add up significantly as well. Sugary drinks. And also going for like nuts and seeds. A lot of people think that nuts are high in protein. Well, they're mainly just full of fats and they have a bunch of calories. Granola bars, same thing, high in sugars and fats. Dried fruits, sugars and calories compared to fresh fruits. You want to stay away from like cooking additives, so like oils, butters. Cooking sprays can be low in calories per spray, but multiple sprays can add up. So you definitely want to make sure you're careful about that. And gravies and broths often contain hidden fats and sugars as well. And restaurant meals, so like hidden fats and sugars, like restaurants add extra butter, oil, sugar to enhance flavor. Like if you actually request stuff that's not on the menu, like they usually have single ingredient food stuff. Like if you just order like a chicken breast off Boston Pizza's menu, they literally have chicken breast and like Cajun chicken breast that you can get with like potatoes or like a side of veggies and stuff like that, or you can literally just have like basically a home cooked meal for almost about like similar price that you get from the grocery store, but it's already cooked and ready to go. And I'll just go with that stuff, or I go with like chicken fingers, always like a pretty macro friendly. It's like a tiny bit breaded, but it's way less calories and it's full of like chicken breast. And healthy food misconceptions. So smoothies can be super high in calories. Like I'd make it yourself at home. Make sure you know what the ingredients are. Track it. Avocado, also nutritious, full of micronutrients, but so many calories. Protein bars and shakes can be caloric bombs if not chosen wisely. And again, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you're not meal prepping, you're not anticipating what's happening on the weekend to figure out what kind of foods you're going to be having. You have no groceries at home, and you have a bunch of chips and like processed foods, and you have no idea like what restaurants you're going to be going to, and you just show up and they have just a bunch of calorically dense food on the menu, like that's going to be pretty difficult. And also like when I say planning boundaries, like actually having boundaries in place of like places you refuse to go to, and like if you don't want to go out for drinks because you don't really feel like that serves you and your goals and you're just doing it because of peer pressure, like setting boundaries with people to make sure that that happens. Like I would also set a boundary to like make sure you have non-negotiable time for your nutrition and like meal prepping and workouts. Treat it like a doctor's appointment. Make sure like unless there's an emergency, it happens because you want to set your future self up for success. Whereas if you just say yes to a bunch of things and you let it get in the way, that's going to cause resentment. It's going to cause you to not be focusing on yourself, which is going to cause you to take steps backwards. Like you're gonna not gonna step on people's toes. People are gonna respect it, and focus on burning more calories instead of bringing in less calories. Because if you're just focusing on bringing less, and less calories, it's going to be super not super sustainable. Whereas if you burn more calories, like do short high intensity interval training, like you can boost your metabolism up to about 70% for the following 3 days, where your body just burns more calories by existing. And I would also preferably go with like strength training, like weights, resistance bands, body weight stuff at home. If you actually put accelerator in the comments, I can either send you like a dumbbell workout, a band workout, a body weight workout, depending on whatever your preference is. But by doing strength training, eating sufficient protein, and putting on muscle, you get a boosted metabolism. Your body burns more calories also by existing, and it also helps your body burn more body fat. There's actually been a bunch of studies that have been done. The biggest reason for the obesity crisis and people that are holding on to additional body fat is a lack of skeletal muscle. There's actually trainers out there that won't even put somebody onto a calorie deficit and get them to put on muscle first, and then their body starts losing body fat and they start changing composition where they're losing fat and gaining muscle. And getting like 10K steps a day in, if you actually get 10K steps a day in every single day, you burn 35 additional calories per week, which is 1 pound of fat. So just by getting extra steps in and like parking further away from the grocery store, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, doing body weight squats while you're waiting for your coffee to brew, like that stuff can add up incrementally over time. And like that can help you have more calories or make it easier to stay in a calorie deficit. And like I'd say at least 80% on the weekends. Like you don't want to be a 57%er where you're only hitting everything Monday to Thursday. And then by the time you get to Friday, you're like, oh, I had a really long week. You know, I deserve a treat. I deserve a drink. And like the weekend's not really planned out. You sleep in, you're kind of just going with the flow and just don't really have any structure. Like that's typically where you turn to convenient options. You're kind of just going out for food if other people want to go out for food. You have more processed things because you have nothing prepped or planned. Whereas if you have things prepped and planned and you give yourself that 20% wiggle room, you're going to create way more consistency. Obviously, hitting 100%, you're always going to get better results. But for sustainability and creating consistency, like I would definitely try and stay at least 80% on track during the weekends. Just because you have days off from your work doesn't mean you have days off from your health. So how to navigate social situations. So often this involves unhealthy foods, like learning strategies for managing these situations helps maintain consistency without feeling deprived. So before going out, eating a small healthy snack to curb hunger, like or offer to bring a dish that you know fits your plan. Focus on the people and the experience more than the food. Like I would even like try and like have a bunch of protein, have a bunch of fiber, and just like load up on some water before you get there, and then just have like a smaller portion. Because like by the time you get there, you're probably not really gonna feel like having anything. And again, before you eat anything, eat protein, fiber, and drink water and wait about 15 minutes. Like this is actually how a lot of people are taught to intuitively eat. Like if you go into a situation where you can't track your food, you're not able to be on 100%, you just eat protein, like 25 to 30 grams, have fiber and drink water and then wait 15 minutes. You're likely not even to really want anything afterwards, or you might just have a little bit. And consistency over perfection. So sustainable weight loss comes from consistent habits rather than perfection. Allow room for flexibility without feeling like you failed. So focus on making healthy choices 80 to 90% of the time while allowing yourself to enjoy social events or treats without completely falling off track. And a lot of the time, you're going to want to embrace non-scale victories, especially if you're doing like resistance training where you're gaining muscle in the process. Focusing solely on the scale can lead to frustration. Celebrating non-scale victories like energy, better sleep, your clothes are fitting better, you're losing inches, you're taking progress pictures, we're able to see more toning and changing a body composition. Like, especially if you're doing strength training and you're eating sufficient protein. Like, I've had clients lose no weight for like 2, 3, 4 months, but they're down a bunch of inches. They're like down 20 inches, 30 inches, 7 inches on their waist, and they like look more toned. They compare their pictures side by side, their clothes are fitting better, and like their weight hasn't changed, but like they completely gained muscle and lost a bunch of fat, which is ideal. That's actually better because then you're not going to have that loose skin, you're going to have more energy, and that's going to create more of a sustainable calorie deficit. And you want to make small, gradual changes. So drastic overhauls often lead to burnout. Like you want to focus on small changes that are more manageable and add up over time and focus on building the habits and focusing on those small steps over no steps creates way more sustainability. And start by improving one or two things like adding more veggies to meals or reducing sugary snacks, finding alternatives, maybe planning and like implementing meal prepping a bit more, focusing on like burning more calories rather than bringing in less calories, maybe switching up the types of workouts that you're doing to resistance training or HIIT training instead of just doing like long form cardio, and build on these changes week by week. 1% better every single day. You're going to be 37 times better by the end of the year. Direct quote from Atomic Habits by James Clear. And if you've seen some of the testimonials on this page, you know that the transformation you're looking for really is possible. People who were exactly where you're sitting have broken through and gotten results. Like this is our client Cheryl, who we actually did a case study where we talked about how she lost 40 pounds in 7 months. Like, look at that. She did strength training. She did all the things that we talked about, completely changed up body composition. And this is after. This is 7 months after. And she had people tell her that she looks like 5 to 10 years younger. She has like there's so like she feels more confident. She has more energy, and she's created a ton of sustainability and is enjoying a lot of the foods that she's having. This is our client Caroline, who also did long form cardio and like switched to strength training and like making sure she was tracking her food and following a lot of the strategies that we talked about. Now she's bragging to people about her six packs. This is another one of our other Caroline clients that also followed the same strategies. And I told you at the beginning of the call that if you needed more help, I would show you what to do. You don't need me. You have the option to take what you learned today and you've seen the system, you've gotten the information, and you can apply it yourself. You can go faster, and here's how to go faster. And I want to help you go faster. I've set aside time this week with myself on my calendar, and I'd love to offer you a free strategy session. So this is what we're going to be doing together on the call. So set goals for the next 4 to 6 months so you're clear on where you want to go. Ask yourself right now, where do you want to be 6 months from now? If you have been just living day to day hoping it's going to work out, it's not going to. So we're going to uncover the roadblocks that are getting in the way of you unleashing your best, most confident self so you can get clear on exactly what you need to do to achieve your goals. Plus, we'll set up a 16-week roadmap for implementing the Hansen Health weight loss blueprint and the sustainable nutrition strategies that I just showed you. And I've only got so much time on my calendar, so if this is something that you feel like could help you, sign up right now. It's totally free. Comment me in the comments, and I'll send you a link to book a strategy call with me, and we'll dive into your specific struggles, how to implement it, so we can really crush this together. And remember why this is important to you, like what it could potentially cost you if you don't get this down and start moving in this direction. You made the decision to watch this video because you wanted a solution, and this is it. I'm asking you to make a decision for yourself, and it's time to step up and stop the madness. What do you have to lose? And here's what you're going to gain. Comment me in the comments, and I'll send you a link to book a strategy call with me. And if you have any questions or anything you want to get more clarity on, just put them in the comments. And as soon as I have a chance, I'm going to go back into the comments, answer any questions that you guys have. And definitely just put me in the comments if you want specific help with this, because we're giving away free strategy sessions. You guys have an awesome rest of your night. Let's crush some goals. And I'll talk to you guys soon.